us on set. Florence, today's the first day of Ramadan, as we were saying, and it's getting some attention in the French press. I believe in La Croix, the Catholic daily.
That's right. The Catholic newspaper is focusing on efforts for dialogue between Christians and Muslims. According to La Croix, Le Temps de la Franchise, it's important to be frank. And inside it looks at how Muslims at a mosque in Lyon, so France's second largest city, are preparing for Ramadan. And according to the imam, during Ramadan, there are a lot more followers than usual. And a lot of them actually organize their vacation so that they can be there during the month of Ramadan. And so this article describes on how they plan to celebrate and also reflect spiritually.
Florence, the French press naturally is also paying a lot of attention to Wednesday's bomb attack in Damascus. What do they make of that?
That's right. Well, we're going to take a look at Le Monde, which calls it La bombe qui précipite le destin syrien, so the bomb that's accelerating Syria's destiny. And their editorial, however, focuses on the diplomatic side of things. They focus on what they call the biting failure of the UN's diplomacy. This comes after yet another resolution at the United Nations Security Council was shut down, vetoed by Russia and China. It says that the Security Council is like a slow-motion race, and while Damascus is burning, it's procrastinating. And all this is contributing to a certain loss of credibility. And there's a really interesting article in Le Monde that I suggest you read, which explores just why diplomacy is failing on the Syria question. And it says that, in a way, Syria is being sacrificed for Iran because the West isn't pushing Russia to cooperate with them on the question so that they can count on Russia to cooperate on the Iranian question. And so they need to keep Russia in their good books somewhat for the Iranian question. And furthermore, it points out that Barack Obama doesn't want to intervene militarily in Syria because it's an election year. And so all this can explain why the international community is dragging its feet.
Concerns over Iran trump concerns and fears for lives in Syria then. The newspapers are also focusing on the tensions rising between the government and the French car maker, PSA, which is Peugeot Citroën. We know there have been tensions with the car maker wanting to lay off 8,000 people.
That's right. And in fact, France's Minister for Industrial Renewal, Arnaud Montebourg, has had incredibly harsh words for PSA. He says that the government has problems with the behavior of the group's shareholders. Well, the biggest shareholder in the group is the Peugeot family itself. And Le Figaro has an interview with Thierry Peugeot, who's the chairman of the group's supervisory board, and he's fighting back, la contre-attaque de Thierry Peugeot. He says that the government is being unfair and excessive in its attacks, and he comes out to defend his family's name and reputation, and especially their strategy. And he says that we are responsible entrepreneurs. And in their editorial, Le Figaro also defends the Peugeot family. They say that the minister is being very excessive, and they say that Montebourg is doing all this just for the media attention. And they say that they remind readers that the Peugeot family is a hardworking family that lives and pays taxes in France, and it says that the Peugeot family are true patriots because they've been keeping the bulk of their production here in France. And in fact, Le Figaro points out that perhaps that can somewhat explain a lot of the problems that they're seeing today.
So they're saying actually the Peugeot family is just making a sound business decision. Moving on to another story that's getting a lot of attention here in France, and this was somewhat surprising. The housing minister, Cécile Duflot, was catcalled in Parliament on Wednesday when she appeared in front of, when she walked down the aisle of the National Assembly to talk to address Parliament.
That's right. And in fact, we're going to see a photo of this, exactly what she was wearing. She was wearing this dress, a floral dress, and she was heckled. She was whistled at.
It's a change from the gray suits that most ministers and lawmakers wear.
Absolutely. But the fact that she was heckled is causing a lot of outrage in France, especially after one of the hecklers, a certain Patrick Balkany, said he was only admiring her dress and said that she probably put on that dress so that people wouldn't listen to what she was saying. So all these comments are drawing a lot of criticism, and it's on the cover of Le Parisien, which says, "When are we going to put an end to machismo?" It explores just how sexist is France, and it says that male chauvinism is, in fact, alive and kicking here in France. Even though the government, for instance, has gender equality, it says that sexism is rampant, including within high responsibility jobs. For instance, there's an article that points out that women CEOs make 30% less than their male counterparts. So according to Le Parisien, the road to equality between the sexes is long and windy.
And there's a conservative minister who's often here on France 24, Jacques Millard, who was quoted as saying after this incident that really she's very thin-skinned, Cécile Duflot, because there were compliments being made to her. She was being complimented. All right, thank you very much, Florence. You'll be back later on set with a review of the international press. Thanks. We'll see you a little later. And now let's remind you of the top story.